Hope you guys are doing well. Have a treat for you today. I am going to be doing a fiber gel removal and reapplication on a customer of mine. So she's had this on for close to a month. Want to be able to show you guys how I go through the whole entire process of removal and reapplication. This is going to give you guys a really good idea. So for those of you guys who are, learning the process, this is definitely going to make sense because you're going to be able to see it live. Also, for those of you who are just starting, this is going to give you guys a really good understanding on what you need to do to go through preparation, application, as well as finishing. Okay, so have her set completely done. As you can see, her nails are grown tremendously all the way out to the end. So the first thing I am going to do before I get started is I'm going to remove the product, right? So I'm going to be using my electric file. I'm going to be using the safety bit to get this off. I'm going to go ahead and run the electric file at a desirable speed, right? So the whole purpose is to try to remove. So I'm going to go between 11,000 and 12,000 RPMs. I feel really comfortable working this. So I'm going to fire this up. We're going to go ahead and turn on the dust extractor. And just to give you guys an idea of how I remove, right? So I'm always feathering right from the center, right? Just kind of tickling everything away. And then what I like to do is just go around the perimeter of the nail and work all the way down and start using a really gentle feathering motion. I don't want to be super aggressive. I feel that everybody who's learning how to do nails, the biggest problem is that you're trying to dig everything out of the nail too aggressively. There's no need. What you want to be able to do is gently feather everything away. So as I start moving down towards the free edge, boom, you can see like I'm in this position right here where I have the thumb, right? I have my pinky behind it. I'm working around the perimeter, being very, very gentle. And then as I come around the body and start feathering through, I'm able to remove a majority of the product from the surface of the natural nail without her feeling anything at all. Okay, so again, just be very careful, working around, feathering, right? Once I get down close to the natural nail, then I'm gonna end up stopping, right? So whatever natural nail is exposed here, we'll go ahead and clip that away and then file it into shape before I do the application. So again, it's not about trying to remove everything. It's a matter of trying to get a majority of the product off. I'm using an over grip position, right? So as I'm working through, this is going to prevent the client from always looking up at the nail. And you can see as I go through the middle, this is going to give me a great opportunity to work around the perimeter, tickle, 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 feather, and I continue to work down the barrel of the nail, right? And I'm using a feathering motion so that we don't create, again, a tremendous amount of basically zero heat. We want the customer to feel as comfortable as possible as we're working through, okay? So as you can see, that is completely off. And again, you can see there's a little bit right here. I'm not gonna try to dig that out. It's not necessary. A lot of times what I'll do just to even find how thick the product is, I'll take it off the tip. That gives me a really good gauge, as you can see, as I'm getting down to the natural nail. And then what I can end up doing is feathering through, tickle, 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 all the way through the body, working around the cuticle, trying to stay off the natural nail as much as I can, and then feathering through the body, right? The whole purpose is creating as much comfort as we possibly can, right? Feather. And you can see as I'm working around and then using the different spots of the barrel from zone 1 to zone 3. Zone 1, right? Even if I had to use zone 3 coming this way, I'm going in one direction. I'm not holding the hand like this and going side to side. If I end up holding the hand like this and going side to side, there's always a chance of the barrel slipping around the nail. I want to be able to have it in an overgrip position so that I could use this gentle tickling fashion as I'm working around the nail and trying to get as much of the enhancement off the nail as I can. Even here in the corner, I'm able to pull away her skin, tickle, tickle, tickle. And then again, just being very gentle as I'm working through, right? So we have 3, and then again, working down through the nail, right? It takes time, right? But again, even if it takes you 10 to say 15 minutes to get the product off, that's time you're not wasting. I feel that a lot of people that are depending on a solvent to get it off, you have to prepare the nail, you have to soak the nail, you have to wait, and and then let's say 15 minutes goes by and then you try to take the product off. What ends up happening is you're left with sometimes something that doesn't come off completely. It's absolutely, to me, counterproductive. What we're trying to do here is remove as much as we possibly can. You can even see there's a little bit of residue around the edges. There's no reason for me to go aggressive. Once I get to this point, I just want to be very, very gentle. You can see nails are clean, and we're trying to get as much of the product again. I work through the center, and then right when I get to the tip, I can start putting a little bit more pressure because it's her tip. There's no nail bed underneath. I can start feathering it away, and that's a good guide for me. Great guide for me to gently move around. Your bits do make a difference. If your bits are not sharp, what ends up happening is you end up putting way too much pressure. I don't want to put a lot of pressure. I want to feather, right? Use a gentle feathering motion as I'm tickling everything away. And then again, I'm going to come down. You can see that we're able to get the majority of the product off of her nails. Okay, so we're done with this. We're going to go ahead and rotate hands. Same position, just stay in the same position. Yep, that way. Rotate this way. There we go. Okay, good. I'm gonna have to rotate my phone. Okay, perfect. All right, so again, what we have is, again, I'm just tickling through, feather. This is a great way for me to try to get a lot of the product off one side. And then being very gentle as I'm working. You can see even if I'm coming down this area right here, I don't try to go this way. I'm trying to use the base of my barrel, right, to come through and tickle everything off so that we're getting a lot of the product off of the tip and through the natural nail. And again, no reason for me to try to dig it off the nail. If there is a little bit of residue right here, it's not a big deal because the product that I'm going to be applying over the surface is very opaque, right? So she loves wearing this beautiful soft white product. What we want to be able to do is get most of it off. And again, I come tickle through the middle. I put a lot of pressure on the tip. And as you can see, this is going to give me the ability to get a majority of the product off of the free edge as I rotate around and through the nail. Boom, tickle. Using what I call a feathering motion to get a majority of the product off the nail. You can see as I'm coming this way, right? Take a look at her hand, the position of my hand. If you're holding the client's hand in this position, I want to show you something. If I was holding the customer's hand in this position like this, what ends up happening is the customer ends up looking at the nail all the time. So you end up fighting, right? You end up fighting a customer that basically is trying to see what you're doing with the service. Once you come over the top just like this, then what ends up happening is you have full control. You're putting them in a G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip, and basically they're not going to be able to do anything. You're going to have full control as you're removing the product through the surface of the nail using a gentle tickling motion, right? Gentle, feather, trying to get the majority of the product off. Okay, so we have, again, there is 7 fingers removed as I remove all the gel. And I feel that a lot of you guys out there that are learning how to do nails, the most important, I would say, skill that you can build as a nail technician is learning how to use your electric file properly. This is, a skill that's going to help you not just with preparation, it is going to help you with finishing, right? And again, it's not about trying to finish the fastest. It's trying to finish so that you have, again, less damage to your own, basically, wrists, shoulders, and back, right? If you're able to remove product, you can see customers super comfortable. If you're able to remove product from the surface of the nail without doing damage to your own wrists, shoulders, and back, you're going to be able to build a very successful long career. Okay, again, I have my finger. I'm able to work down the middle using a tickling method as I'm coming down the front end. And then what I do is I work around the cuticle area, and then as soon as I get down to the tip, I start feathering everything off of the free edge. I don't just start digging everything off. This is going to give me a really good gauge on how much I have to remove from this part of the fingernail. And I come through and I tickle, right? And then once everything is pretty thin, I start to use, again, a very, very light feathering motion so that the customer doesn't feel anything. You can see how I'm able to feather away a majority of the product around the cuticle area. I'm able to come down, just tickle everything off. I don't want to be super aggressive. Okay, 9 fingers done. The final finger again, if you choose to work down over the tip, which I choose to do sometimes, is going to give me a good gauge on how much product I need to remove from the free edge. Then I follow through the middle, gentle, pulling always in one direction. I don't go side to side. And then what I can end up doing is start using a feathering motion, coming down, feathering it off the back end, feathering it off around the cuticle, always working. For those of you guys that are right-handed individuals, you're working in forward. For those of you guys who are left-handed individuals, you are working in reverse. Using a feathering motion, I'm able to gently remove the product around the surface of the nail, and you can see how I'm able to pull away the skin here so that I don't hit it. And then again, as it starts getting thinner, it's going to make it a lot easier for me to get a lot of the product off. Perfect. Okay, so done removing the gel from the surface of the nail. I'm going to show you guys something absolutely crazy, right? Let's go ahead and just fire this up, right? You can see, all right, let me just turn this off. I just want to give you an idea, right? The amount, right, of dust, like you can see the amount of dust that I have inside this. Look, dude, right? Getting all that off inside the trash can, right? That is really important. All right, so once I'm done, I'm going to go ahead and put this aside for now. And then what we're going to end up doing is we're going to clip away. So she loves active length. She has young children. She doesn't want to basically, nick them. So what I do is I go through and I try to clip off as much of the natural nails I possibly can. So I don't, again, for me, it's really important to do this after. I don't want to do this while she has the enhancement on. If you have the enhancement on, sometimes you have an opportunity to actually break it. Always check too, right? We need to make sure that you're dealing with a customer that doesn't have a hyponychium that's built all the way out to the very, very end of the nail. So we're just being very careful as we're working through removing as much of the free edge as we possibly can, just shortening everything out, right? And then once we get these sorted on this hand, I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite. All right, so again, starting from one side and then going to the other. Don't just take the toenail clipper and snip everything off. Always work from one end to the other, and then this is going to basically reduce the length that we need. She still has a little bit of gel on the surface of the nail, which is absolutely fine because the amount of product that we're going to be using, again, on the top is, again, going to mask everything that's there. So what I like to do once we're done is I'll take we have these beautiful 240 buffers, and what I want to be able to do is basically come in and then I like to round off her corners and then file from corner to center, right? To just make everything even. So again, I'm coming in corner to center, corner to center. That way we don't break away any free edge. Trying to make these as even as we possibly can. Same thing, corner to center. If there is a little bit of excess, I could always take that gentle file and come in and just kind of make it as even as we possibly can. All right, this is the pre-prep before we actually go into application, okay? All right, so once we're done doing this, we're almost ready for the final step before I actually go into application. This is really important. These are the steps I always do. Even when I'm doing gel polish, these are the steps that I do all the time, okay? So what we're gonna end up doing is just rounding them off, making them as square as we possibly can. This is not the final step, because what I like to do when we're done is I'll always come and take a look at this profile once we're finished. All right, so again, coming down, making sure that everything, okay. So I want my gel polish to stick like extremely well. And in order for me to get them to stick really, really well, I have to be able to create a textured surface all around the surface. Okay, so for those of you guys that are working with your electric file, I want to be able to show you guys, right? You have your arbor bands. What we need to do is we need to remove this and put a brand new one on. So I could hold the top of the E-file and then I can slide this off. And then what we can do is we can get a brand new one, boom, all the way through. I'm gonna turn my E-file down to a very gentle speed. You notice right now we're going down to 3,000 RPMs, okay? So we're gonna fire this on, and then what I'm gonna do is just take down the edge. So at this point, I want to do a little bit of prep work. So I'm being very gentle, and then I like to tickle through the surface of the nail, just like that, done. So I'm gonna go around the perimeter. We're gonna remove shine all the way through. And then what I'm gonna end up doing is feathering everything off. I'm gonna do the same thing on this hand. I'm gonna tickle all the way around the perimeter of the nail, and then I'm gonna end up feathering all the way through, okay? So again, I always like to block out with all of my customers, even though the service only takes me about 45 minutes to remove and reapply, I'm gonna go ahead and block out a full hour for the service. All right, so what we're gonna end up doing is end up removing a majority of the shine, and this is great because it's gonna remove any loose product that's not just around the perimeter of the nail. It's gonna create a really nice textured surface for you to be able to apply the new product. And you can see how I have her hand resting. This is her left hand, but I have it resting on the table, right? So I'm coming over the surface just like this. I'm able to basically get around the perimeter of the nail, and then I use a very, very gentle feathering motion to clean off the rest. Same exact thing. Pull away her skin. I'm able to get around the perimeter of the nail all the way around. And then what I'm able to do is feather away. I know most of you guys are on TikTok that you guys watch on a regular basis. You see me doing acrylics. Today, I wanted to take the time because I feel that this service is really, really important. There's a lot of you that are learning the trade, and you're always basically being convinced by a lot of people out there that you need to soak the product off in order for you to reapply the product. That is not true. I never soak. I go through the process of removing the product safely with my electric file. This creates, again, I'm not overexposing it to a harsh solvent. All I'm doing is taking it down. Even if there is a thin amount of product around the tip or even around here, that's fine. I'd rather have a small amount because, again, my client's used to wearing this and coming back to me every four weeks. Okay, so once we're done, what we're gonna end up doing is taking swipe, right? And I'm gonna come through and we're just going to clean everything off of her nail. This is a great way for you to scrub all of the loose, basically dust and contaminants from the surface of the nail. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other hand, right? I'm gonna take swipe, and then we'll do the same exact thing. Thank you. And then coming through, I'm just dusting everything off. And now we are ready for protein bond. Okay, so this is like the best. I would say out of everything, once you learn how to remove the product, then it's smooth sailing from there. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take protein bond and we're going to apply an even coat from cuticle to free edge. Boom, all the way through. Right, there's still just a little bit of residue around. I'm not gonna dig it out because, like, again, you can see just a little bit of residue. It's not a big deal. It's tight to the natural nail. It's super, super thin. There's, again, no reason for me to try to get all the way down to the bottom of the nail. I don't wanna create any damage. All we're doing is getting it as thin as we possibly can. I've got a great structure to work off of. My customers' natural nails are super healthy, and we want to be able to maintain that health through the whole entire process of removal and reapplication. Okay, so I'm going to do protein bond from cuticle to free edge, right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to go through. So what I like to do, I like to do 2 coats of the manicure fiber gel, and then if I have basically the opportunity, which I will, I'm going to apply. Jorge, can you do me a favor, brother? Can you do me a favor? Can you grab me finish gel after we're done as well? Finish? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, so fiber gel. Okay, so this is, like, again, one of the things you're going to notice when you're applying the fiber gel with keratin is that, again, it could be like really, really sticky. So you have to remember that when you're working with this length of brush, you're not trying to pile it onto the nail. What we want to be able to do is we need to make sure, cheers, brother, I appreciate you. So what we're going to end up doing is taking it out, and then what I'll do is I'll remove a majority of it from one side of my brush, right? So once I'm done doing that, what I like to do to set myself up for a lot of success is I'm going to, again, I don't want to pile it on, right? So for those of you guys out there, what I'm going to end up doing is just applying, again, right? I'm just going to brush it through, okay? So again, don't worry about this. I do this to her nails every 2 to 3 weeks. What I'm going to end up doing, again, is just brushing it through. And I like to just take, again, I'm not trying to apply a massive amount, and I'm not even trying to get to the edge. All I'm trying to do is apply something on the surface. I'll go back and do my detailing. So for those of you guys out there, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't work with it. You know, I'm struggling. I can't get close to the size. Don't worry about that. What you want to be able to do is just try to get close to the cuticle on the top end and then end up pulling through. If you need a little bit more, come back through, grab yourself a nice healthy amount, and then what you can do is just kind of just pull it through. Even if it doesn't get close to the sides, that's okay. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back. This also prevents you from over applying it to the edges and getting it all over the place. So what I end up doing is just getting a nice healthy amount, right, on the surface of the nail, just like this. And so this is quick because I can go through all 5 fingers. Now, right, you can see, like, if I had this really, really close, what would have ended up happening is it would have ended up bunching up towards the side. If I apply one even coat through the whole entire middle, then what I can do is I could go back, I could get my brush, I could remove the excess around the edges. This is gonna really help all you guys that are learning how to do this. And then what I can do is I could focus my attention, right, on trying to get this as close to the edges as I possibly can because I have a nice even coat on the nail. So boom, I'm gonna get that on. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Right, I'm gonna just really focus. And again, I don't care about trying to make it absolutely perfect on the first coat. I feel once I get it down the center of the nail, then what I can do is I could really just focus my attention on just getting it even from side to side. We don't want it running. We have a nice even coat. I don't have to go back inside the bottle. All I'm doing is applying a gentle coat from side to side. And you can even see it bunching up to the side. If I had it too close to the skin, it would have gotten onto the skin. So now, instead of running it down the middle of the nail, what I can end up doing is really focusing on getting it even. And then what the customer is going to end up doing is getting it inside the light. Boom. So as you can see, I have 60 seconds. Now this is great. So my customer now, again, I could use this, right? As you can see right over the top, I can use this as kind of a rest for my customer's hand. I'm always going to start pinky and I'm going to work to thumb. No, this is not a base gel. This is fiber gel. So this is basically the only product, and it has keratin. So this is really going to help the nails thrive. It's a fantastic service to do for those of you guys that already are doing it. You get it. It's absolutely amazing. So again, I have it, right? You can see I'm getting it out of the bottle. What I want to be able to do, right? I have this massive amount. I don't want to just pile that. I need to remove everything from one side of my brush, and then I have my brush loaded. I'm not going to apply this to a whole entire finger. What I'm going to end up doing is being very, very gentle, and I'm just going to pull through the middle. That's it. And then I have enough product. Watch this. I'm going to pull through the middle. Whatever product I have on here, I'm just getting it through the middle, right? If I have to go back and get a little bit more, what I am convinced and I know is I don't have to worry about it running down towards the sides. All I'm doing is getting it close to the cuticle area and pulling it straight down the middle. Just like that, okay? Don't worry about the edges. We'll come back and we'll do our detailing. I just want to show you guys how quickly I'm actually able to get through the service, especially with this consistency, if you really understand how to know how to work the product. Okay, so boom, right through the middle. Don't worry about, again, what it looks like. And then the thumb, which again is the largest, what I'm going to be able to do is come through. And again, I'm going to be able to apply a nice even coat from cuticle to free edge, not worrying about the edge. Now, instead of going back, right? What we're gonna end up doing is taking off a majority of the product off the sides, okay, right? So this is going to leave me, again, with a precision brush, just being very, very careful as I'm removing all the product. And now what we could do is we could do the detailing around the edges. I could use my edge and I could get as close to the sides as I possibly can. Notice how I am balancing. I want to be able to show you guys while I'm working, you see how I'm keeping connection. So just like I'm doing acrylic, this is really important for all you guys out there that are learning how to do nails. Balance is not just associated with acrylic, it is also associated with how you hold your electric file, how you hold your polished brush, how you hold the majority of the products, so that you don't shake while you work. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get this as even as we can from side to side. Everything will self-level into perfection. All we're trying to do is keep the edge of the brush as close to the sides as we possibly can. And even on this side right here, what I'm gonna end up doing with my thumb is coming through, boom, just like that, making sure that we have great, basically, application all the way through. And then she's gonna switch hands. She's gonna go inside the light, just like that. Sorry, let me just get this in a way where I could get this. Now we're ready for the second coat. All right, so what we're gonna end up doing now, again, I don't need a lot, right? How much time has it been since we started? It's probably been no more than 30 minutes, right? And we're almost done. So I'm going to end up coming through, applying a nice even coat. You can already see the coverage that we have. Again, coming through, applying a really nice even coat, right, from cuticle to free edge. I don't care about getting it close to the edge. All I care about is making sure that we have, again, a nice healthy amount over the center, right? So I can focus on doing multiple fingernails without basically just, I would say a lot of the times, a lot of beginners, what they do is they dwell over what one finger looks like. And then they're just like, oh my gosh, it's not perfect. What am I gonna do? Don't worry about doing that. Just get it on. And then what you can end up doing is coming back and doing your detail work. All right, perfect. So last but not least, the thumb, we've already applied it to all the fingers. I'm gonna go ahead and get a nice healthy amount on the end of my brush. And then what we're going to end up doing is coming through and we're gonna apply the same exact thing all the way through, right? just down through the center of the nail. And then I'm gonna remove the excess from my brush, again, getting a nice edger. And then what we can end up doing is really focusing my attention on trying to get it as close to the edges. I'm using a very, very light contact. If I had to do any more detailing, what I would end up doing is using probably a little bit of a small detailer to get around the edges, maybe like a nail art brush to get close to the sides. It's always a great way of doing it as well. All right, boom. So what we're doing is we're coming through, just doing some detail work on this, on the final coat. Boom, all the way. All right, and again, you can see just because I left it there, I don't want it bunching up on the edges. But what you can do, which is beautiful about this product, is once it's done, if you need to do any shaping, we're gonna go ahead and go through that as well, all right? We wanted to make sure that a lot of you guys are actually doing the services, understand that there's a ton of ways to get it to look absolutely flawless when you're done. It's not just apply and go. You can actually finish, refine, and make them absolutely perfect if you have to. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up coming through, making sure they're gonna be absolutely tight. All right, and again, it's about using a really light floating method as we're coming through the nail. Boom, inside, go ahead and cure that out. Let's go ahead and do the last set of nails. Again, I'm gonna apply a nice even coat over the surface, and let's go ahead and work through making sure that we're getting great coverage on all the fingers. Perfect. Yeah, for all of you guys that are just starting, remember that when you're working with the product, in order for you to be able to apply it without any shakes, it's a matter of having good contact. You can see my fingers are always connected to my hand as I am working. Boom. All right, so what we're going to do is come through and apply a nice even coat, and then since I'm doing the thumb, we might as well just kind of finish that out. Then I'm gonna come back and just do slight detailing around the edges. Making sure that we're getting it as close to the sides as we possibly can. She's always super picky about making sure that I'm getting it all the way to the sides. She's laughing at me. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and get that one inside. Perfect. So 60 seconds. So what I'm going to end up doing on the last stage is always when I am finished, before I actually go into my final stage, I'm going to go ahead and wipe everything off. Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab some wipes. I have some. Jorge, do we have any wipes here, bro? Wipes? Yeah. Oh, are they? Sorry, guys. Give me 2 seconds. I cannot find my wipes. Wow. No, it's okay. Hold on. I'll just do this. Let's lift up your hand. All right, so it's all good. I'm gonna use a towel. Okay, so what we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna clean the surface. I'm going to use, again, swipe. This is really important because what we wanna be able to do is remove the tacky layer from the surface before we do any type of detailing. Same exact thing on this hand. I'm gonna go ahead and remove anything from the surface before we actually apply the shine over the surface of the nail. Okay, so here, what I like to do at the very, very end, let's go ahead and do this hand. I'm going to come through and just make sure that, again, I just have a little bit of bulk built up on that side so you guys can see me get the camera inside. Okay, so I'm gonna use the 240, right? But what we want to be able to do, and again, I want to come in, I want to just kind of refine my edges so they're absolutely perfect. I'm just going to come down and kind of buff this into perfection. I don't want to totally remove everything from the side, but again, I'm trying to make this as perfect as we possibly can. Sometimes it's not fully necessary to go through and do everything, but just the fingers that I need, maybe just a hair of detail, I'll go ahead and do. That one right here, just on the edge. I want to make sure that they're absolutely perfect. And coming around, right, because I don't want the gel to get stuck, so I'm going to come in, I'm just going to kind of round off those edges all the way through. And just to make sure, right, that we're not going to apply it over a slick surface, I'm going to go ahead and remove, just right there on that back end. I want to make sure that they're absolutely tight. And let's go ahead and clean these off. All right, and since I'm going to be applying the top coat over the surface, what I want to be able to do, again, because I don't want these to chip away, I'm going to apply a little bit of protein bond over the surface before I put the finish gel over the top. And then let's go ahead and do that with these. No, they won't. So the gel won't lift since they're being filed off the free edge. No, it's crazy. I do this every week. Also, you can see as I'm working through, I'm just going to go ahead and put a nice even coat down the center. I file my free edges all the time, and I never, ever have to worry about basically nothing peeling off. So you're going to be totally stoked when it actually comes to that. I saw that actually comment come through. Once I get it down the center, what I'm going to actually do is use this to come through, make sure they're absolutely even from side to side, and she's going to go in, boom. So the other one, right, I feel that they're good enough. Let's just go ahead and take finish, and I'm just going to go through and apply a nice even coat. And then these will cure tack free. And then all I have to do, the other one I wanted to take down a little bit of bulk off the sides, but this one I didn't have to. Let me just go ahead and get a nice even coat. All right, you can choose to use, I like finish just because it cures tack free. You can use the stain resistant top coat. Not the stain resistant. You can use the manicure top coat. Do not use stain resistant top coat. If you guys use stain resistant top coat, there is a chance that it can chip. We don't want that to happen. It'll have like a cracking effect on the surface. Stain resistance is only designed. Go ahead and switch those out. Okay, so now what I've done, like once I'm finished with these, what I'm going to do is, let me just kind of bring this up just a hair. I like to look at kind of a client profile, and this is also going to give me an opportunity just to make sure my edges are completely straight. You're not going to ever have to worry. You're never going to ever have to worry about the product chipping off of the tip. If you're filing these in the shape. Fiber gel is an insane gel system. And then last but not least, after I'm done doing this, what I'm going to end up doing is taking a little bit of cuticle oil around the perimeter of the nail. We're going to go ahead and run this through, even on her hyponychium as well, right? For those of you guys, I just want to show you something real. We have this. This is also a really great asset to have in your collection, but this bit right here, as you can see, this is a great detailer bit. So if you notice that there was an edge, and I just want to show you, that was probably hanging. Don't try to dig it out. So I'll just show you guys really fast. Like right there in the corner, I'm just going to run, there we go. I was able to flick that out, perfect. There, I got that. There was a little bit around that corner, which I was able to flick off. I did that at the very, very end, right? But as you can see, she's got a brand new set, and they are ready to go. So that hand is done. This one as well. After we're done, I'm going to take, again, my file. I'm just going to come around the edges. I want to make sure, let's get this up a little bit. And then I like to look here at this profile and then just make sure they're going to be even, right, from the client, from the customer profile, just so that they're absolutely shaped really well. You're not going to have any issues with this. And then last but not least, since they're completely done, let's just go ahead and take the cuticle oil, go all the way through, make sure that we're massaging not just the cuticle, but again, the whole entire surface. All right. Perfect. All right. So as you can see, done. Customer in and out, fully removed, fully basically reapplied. I appreciate your service. That's $120. All right. So again, the whole purpose of this, now that's $150. Extra. Wanted to make sure that you guys saw the whole entire process from beginning to end. Needed to be live. We wanted to go through the whole process of removal and reapplication. Let us know how we can help. We're always here to help you get your nail services to the next level. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you for joining us on Nail School. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Subscribe the channel now. Subscribe the channel now. Subscribe to the channel now. Subscribe to the channel.